Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll be starting in a child's pose position. Bring your big toes together, open your knees wide, and then crawl your hands out long in front of you. If possible, bring your forehead to rest on the mat. Let your torso come between your legs, and start to bring your focus and your awareness to your breath. Feel your back expand and lengthen with every inhale. And with every exhale, allow something to release away into your mat. Allow each breath to get longer. Keep those big breaths going in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just an opportunity to center down into your body and into your mind. And then slowly start to bring yourself up to a neutral tabletop position. Bring your shoulders right over your wrists and your hips over your knees. On an inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. On your exhale, press into the mat to scoop through your back. And continue to move through this cat-cow with breath. I love taking this cat-cow as a way to warm up through your spine, as a way to warm up through your breath, and really start to feel centered into your physical body. Let your breath guide your movement. Maybe each set you get a little bit deeper into your range of motion through your spine. Keep your breath moving with your body. And take one more set and bring yourself back to a neutral spine. Once you come to your neutral spine, flip your toes, activate your core, lift your knees up off the ground. So your knees are hovering about 2 inches up off the mat. So we're starting to find some additional heat through your core. Pull your shoulders towards your waist so you're nice and flat through your spine. If this is too intense at any point, you can lower your knees down, but try to keep your knees lifted. Really press down into your hands. Now from here, both of your knees, bring them over to the right diagonal of your mat. So we're gonna work a little bit more into your left oblique. Continue to actively press through your left hand, but find a little more twist with your knees really pulling towards the right side of your mat. Press down through both hands. Take one more big breath in and then try to stay floating as you bring your knees back to center and then bring your knees up and over towards the left. So same idea here, actively press down evenly through both of your hands. Your knees are trying to point over towards the left side of your mat. Keep this breath moving. We feel a little more activation through your right oblique. Take a big breath in and exhale. And then slowly bring yourself back to center and press your hips up, downward facing dog. Give yourself a few moments in this first downward facing dog. From here, we're going to work from a downward facing dog to plank sequence just to get even a little more warm through your core. So from your downward facing dog, think of rippling through your spine and roll yourself forward to your high plank, shoulders right on top of your wrists. Then from your high plank, use your low core to pike your hips up and bring yourself back to your downward facing dog. And then just keep moving through these sets. I love working through this downward facing dog to plank. I think it's an excellent way to warm up through your shoulders and then of course to find a little more fluidity through the spine and activation in your core. This is a great exercise to take before any dance rehearsal or any dance audition just to get your body centered and warm. As we found through this sequence, match breath with movement. Take whatever pace feels good in your body. Bring yourself back to downward facing dog and then walk your feet up towards your hands, forward fold. Bend your knees a lot here. Separate your feet about hips width distance. And then if there's any arm variation that you'd like to take, you can find that. I always like to grab elbow to elbow. I think it allows to find a little more length through the spine in this forward fold. Allow your head to be heavy. Allow your neck to be loose. And then any arm variation you've chosen, release your arms, bend your knees a little bit deeper and slowly bring yourself up to stand. Roll up through your vertebrae. Shoulders, chin, and gaze are the last things to arrive. Now keep your feet hips width distance. Send your hips back, reach your arms up, chair pose. We start to find a little more heat now through the legs and through the glutes. You'll especially feel some spice in the tops of your thighs, your quads. Now from here, we're coming into a little marching sequence. So your elbows are going to come down to rest on the tops of your thighs. Once your elbows are resting there, start to brace through your abdominal wall. So elbows come down to touch the thighs, and then shift your weight to your left foot. Try to keep your right elbow attached to your right thigh as you come all the way up to stand one-legged mountain. Keep the right elbow attached as you lower, and then switch sides. Left elbow to left thigh, you lift. Like the elbow is super glued to the thigh. Now you're accomplishing a few things here. This is a great strengthener for your core and then for your thoracic spine as well. Additionally, you're working on balance. You're shifting from one leg to the other. We feel that in the supporting glute. Really try to power yourself all the way upright, as tall as you can be before you bring yourself back down. Maintain contact as best you can, elbow to thigh. I know that makes this a lot more challenging, but try to keep that contact. Use your breath to help you, as with any other exercise or any other step. Your breath is your best tool. Keep moving, keep shifting weight. Give yourself one more set each side. And then bring yourself back down to your wide-legged chair pose, feet hips width distance apart. Just one more moment for breath here. Find a full big breath in, send your hips back even more. And then find a forward fold. Release your torso up and over. Now from your forward fold, step your feet back. We're coming into a high plank, but separate your feet so they're like hips width distance apart. We're coming into a little side plank series. With your feet hips width distance apart, just roll your ankles over to the left for a side plank. Reach your right arm straight up. Reach your right arm straight up overhead, and then come back to your plank, and we switch to the opposite side. So your feet should be separated, so when they fall over to the side, they're not one on top of the other, but they're one in front of the other. And then just keep moving through this side to side. So we're finding strength, of course, through the core, and we're finding strength through both of your shoulders as we switch from one side to the other. You don't need to spend too long in any supporting side. This is really just a series for stabilizing and finding more heat in your core. Now take one more set on this final side, and then bring yourself back to a downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, walk your feet up towards your hands. And now bring your feet together, send your hips down, chair pose round two. So familiar, just a little different because the feet are together. Now send your hips back so you come all the way down to sit, Navasana boat pose. We're gonna move through this sequence. From your boat pose, plant your feet, stand up chair pose. Now if this is a little bit too intense, place your hands down, use your hands as a support as you lower and lift your hips. That's one option. The other option is to not use your hands, to try to keep your hands lifted up and find that control. Move yourself back and forth and try to use as little momentum as possible. Power up through your legs and through your glutes as you bring yourself back up to your chair pose. And then power up through your core as you lower yourself down to your boat pose. Keep this moving. Give yourself one more set. Lower down to your boat pose and stay there. Now from here, half boat. Extend your legs, hover your ankles and your shoulders, and then bring yourself up to a high boat. Keep that going. Option to keep that going with your hands lifted, or option to bring your hands down to the ground and they can assist you through this sequence. You're probably noticing that this whole series is a lot about your core, and we're almost to the end of it, so your core might be feeling very fatigued. Take a break if you need to. Go as quickly or slowly as you need to. Take any sort of support. Continue to find really nice form. Continue to feel the activation of your abdominals as you move through these series. Now bring your hands behind your head and we take 50 bicycle crunches to finish off our abdominal work. Try to bring your elbow across to your knee. Try to make contact and go ahead and twist. Get into it. Use your breath to help you. Elbow to knee, make contact. Keep moving with breath. Keep your shoulders lifted. As you fatigue, keep that breath moving. You're close. Elbow to knee, bring it across. Shoulders are off the mat. And then once you're done, release yourself. Extend your legs long, extend your arms long. Give yourself a big belly breath here. Roll over onto your front, and we're coming into a little bit of back strengthening, so just a little bit of counter to what we've been doing. Super person pose. Extend your arms long in front of you, lift your torso off the ground, and lift your legs up off the ground. This is a really excellent strengthener for your upper back and for your middle spine as well. Pull your shoulders away from your ears, and instead of thinking that you have to get super high through your extremities, instead think that you could get even longer through your extremities. Give yourself one more breath, and then release. Cobra pose. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press your body up just to stretch out the front of your torso, the abdominal wall that we've been working so hard. Lower yourself down and come back into a final child's pose. Bring your hips back to your heels. Reconnect with that first breath that we established at the beginning of the sequence. Roll yourself up and bring yourself to a cross-legged position. Bring your hands to rest on your knees with your palms down or up. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. Return back to your calm and steady breath. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.